What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. I hope everyone is doing phenomenal tonight. I hope you guys have had a great, what is today? Great Tuesday. Hope everyone's doing fantastic. Hope you guys are ready for week 16 of the 2024 fantasy football season because it's here. Whether you like it or not, we're into the second round of the 2024 fantasy football playoffs. So you know exactly what we need to do tonight. Hop into some live fantasy Q&A, whatever you guys need, start sits, waiver wire questions, probably not trade questions, but if you are able to trade questions, start sit decisions, all the good stuff. It's fantasy playoffs, ladies and gentlemen. So we're gonna hop right into it tonight. Of course, we've got lots of things changing and moving as the week progresses, injuries, quarterback updates, all of that good stuff. So we'll hop into today's news. Let me know how week 15 went for you guys. I was crossing my fingers for each and every single one of you guys. But it was a tough week. I mean, there's some big performances that made it really tough. If you're going against certain players, Devontae Adams, Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Allen, Jared Goff, just to name a few off the very top of my head. And Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, there were big performances. James Conner. I mean, big performances in week 15. And tough to overcome some of those, but that it always seems to happen during the playoffs. Last year, George Pickens, Amari Cooper, Brees Hall, like really difficult to advance in best ball without those guys, really difficult to make it through the first round of the playoffs without those guys. But at the same time, doesn't mean that you win against those players this week and you may have breezed on through. Maybe you had a bye week in week 15, whatever the case may be. Let me know how week 15 turned out for you guys. Are you advancing into the next round? Are you playing for third place now? Are you playing for the toilet bowl? Whatever it may be, let me know how things are going, how you guys are doing, and what fantasy questions you guys have headed in to week 16. All right, let's hop into the news very quickly here for the day. Got a couple situations that I do want to take a look at. So Patrick Mahomes was a full participant in practice today. Suppose that's good. This is such a weird thing with the Chiefs. Like they're playing Saturday, then they play on Christmas Day, they play on Wednesday. So I think it's including this past week, 3 games in 10 days or something crazy like that. Or maybe that's going into week 18. It's a 10-day stretch, but nonetheless, man, I don't know if Mahomes going to play or not this week. It's such a weird thing because, like, they don't really need him to play. They don't have to win this game. But at the same time, they want to win this game because, I mean, they're 13-1. The Bills are 11-3. Right now, they're the number 1 overall seed in the AFC, and they want to hold on to that. So, I mean, if they start losing some games, the Bills can catch up pretty quickly here. So, I don't exactly know what's going to go on with Mahomes this week. I think the smartest thing probably is to sit him, see what you got in Carson Wentz for 1 game. But it's also just hard to say because this is Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid offense. And it's Mahomes. Like, he's going to try and play, right? But, it is also, they're playing the Texans. Like, it's not a free win or anything. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but he was a full participant in practice. And Hollywood Brown, if you're wondering, was a full participant in practice. But I'm not going to have the guts to play Hollywood Brown this week, even in a good matchup against the Texans. All right, the Titans are planning to bench our guy, Will Levis. So he got benched last week during the game for Mason Rudolph. And I do think this is the best thing for the Titans. I mean, Will Levis, like, put together a couple good games and had a great, schedule and everything. But, it is what it is here. So I think this is probably positive for Calvin Ridley. I guess theoretically Tony Pollard, but like I don't know how much the output really changes too much here. But Like how excited are we about the Titans this week? I don't know. I will say, like, if you're planning on streaming the Colts defense, I don't know how much I really love the Colts defense this week with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Like they're probably fine, but you don't get that same upside as if Will Levis is the quarterback. All right. Other quarterback changes, we have Dorian Thompson Robinson starting for the Browns, and I do think this is bad for fantasy. Like when he stepped in last week, he wasn't that good. I mean, he threw an interception, a little bit of rushing upside, I suppose, but like, what is this going to do to Jerry Judy and potentially David Njoku if he is back from that hamstring injury this week? And then Cedric Tillman might play. Elijah Moore is awful last week, but what does it mean? We're going from Jameis Winston, who threw the football 41 or more times in every start but two this past week and in the snow game, to Dorian Thompson Robinson. So Jerry Judy goes from like a must start to kind of like a flex, unfortunately. Let's talk about the Raiders running backs very quickly here. Sincere McCormick's out for the season. I feel like I cursed Sincere McCormick, and you guys know I have to record the running back videos, the start sit videos before Monday Night Football is played. And I was like, I'm going to be bold and I'm going to say Sincere McCormick gets the bulk of the touches tonight. Then he's going to have a smash matchup this week and week 17. And I just left it in. I just left it in and said in the comments, ignore everything I said about the Raiders running backs in this video. So he's out for the season. And Amir Abdullah got some nice work in the passing game and scored that touchdown at the end of the game. Other than that, Alexander Madison was getting the bulk of the carries. So somebody's going to have some sort of relevancy here. Abdullah had 7 targets, 7 catches. Like, I don't know if that's going to carry over. But they get Jacksonville and New Orleans the next 2 weeks, 2 bottom 5 run defenses. So they may be guys who help you. This was part of my theory on Sincere McCormick. Clyde Edwards-Helaire got released from the Chiefs. David Montgomery, of course, is out for this season. And I think that's about it. We don't have a great update on Geno Smith. We may or may not see Sam Howell at quarterback, but it looks like Geno Smith is expected to be able to practice throughout the week. So I guess that's a positive update on Geno. Other than that, I think we're all caught up here for the day. So let's get in to your guys's fantasy questions. All right. JSC, Jahmyr Gibbs is a top what? I mean, here's the thing with Gibbs, like he's the RB3 already, I mean, how much higher can we put him, right? I mean, he might be the top option. That's about as high as you can go here, right? I mean, we're going to put him above Henry and Saquon. And I mean, who else is there to put him above fantasy wise? There's nobody. There's nobody on the season who's been better than those two guys in terms of fantasy points scored. So, potential top overall running back in fantasy, but he's a top 3 running back without Monty. That's for sure, because he was a top 3 running back with Monty. How do you feel about Scary Terry against Philly? So I am a little worried about Scary Terry. I almost wish for the playoffs, like I thought about doing this. I thought about doing the start set videos a little bit different, where like I almost have like a tier in there for some of the starts, because I know I do like start, sit, flex, and then like the tier, but for receivers, it's usually just like flex. But I thought about like certain players this week or last week that I still think are solid starts and like hard to bench, but maybe I'm worried about them. Like should have been something indicating that other than me talking, which of course I talk about those things, but I am worried about Terry this week. It's a tough matchup against the Eagles. We know this. And obviously, the last time he played the Eagles was, I believe, his worst game on the season. Yeah, I mean, he had 2 fantasy points. So, worst game on the season. That was on the road, though. So, maybe it's a little bit better at home. And then, like, this is a big game for both teams here. There's playoff implications for both teams, right? So I am worried about Terry, but it's really going to depend on who else you have. I would say that I'm worried about Kelsey if we don't see Mahomes play, but I've kind of had Kelsey kind of close to like start him if he's your best option, and I think that kind of still rings true here. But it's just going to depend on if Mahomes plays or not. The Texans are not that bad against tight ends, 12th against the position, so we're gonna have to kind of wait and see what happens with Mahomes. But Carson Wentz might be able to come out and run this offense pretty decently. I mean, it's not. I don't think that's too far fetched to say. So, Kelsey, it's like he's already kind of been in this tier of like I think he's been very startable, and there was a point in the season where I was, encouraging you guys to just continue to roll with him, but he's just kind of like, meh. Depends on what you got. And sometimes these backup quarterbacks, like they rely on a tight end, right? But we still got Noah Gray there too. So I would say I'm worried about Terry. It just depends on who you've got. And he's just been playing great lately, though. JSC had Allen, Gibbs, and Adams. Hopefully that got you through. If you had these three guys, you did not get through, then I mean, I don't know. Would you go against Goff, B Tom, Connor? Like, I mean, there are some really, really big performances this past week. Need four to start, says Bryce. We got Neighbors, BTJ, Jennings, Garrett Wilson, and Cup. I mean, I think all these guys are going to be good options this week. So you got to look at two things. You got to look at matchups, and you got to trust your gut, right? What's your gut feeling? I still really like Neighbors this week. The Falcons have just been one of these secondaries to exploit, and I don't know who's gonna be the quarterback, but I think Neighbors is solid this week. So I think I'm sticking with him. I'm not benching BTJ, and that's been something I said last week, right? I don't know why exactly this started with me, but all season long, BTJ's been a start for me. Even when like the beginning of the season, there's some little bit ups and downs. I just kept believing in BTJ, and I'm not backing off of that now. And I'm glad we brought that up last week. So I'll stick with BTJ. I think honestly, I'm benching Jawan Jennings here. It's the toughest matchup. Gets the Dolphins, giving up the second fewest points to the position. I think Jennings will probably be fine. Like, I don't think it's gonna be as bad as this past week. But yeah, it just comes down to the worst matchup here. Garrett Wilson's coming off of a good game. I know he only had 3 catches, but he turned those 3 catches into 14.5 fantasy points, and he's got a good matchup against the Rams. Cup, it's a bit of a tough matchup. He's coming off of the goose egg, but I feel like I got more confidence in Cup than Jennings. But you could argue those two. It really comes down to those two, Cup or Jennings. But I mean, Jennings is not that far removed from a monster game, and Cup's not that far removed from being extremely consistent. So it definitely comes down to those two. But me, I would start Cup. Rico or Hall? That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I said it all last week. Breece Hall comes down to your personal conviction. Here's the situation. Do what you want with it, right? I left it up to you guys. I think I lean Rico, but it's so close. Like, I mean, Breece Hall had 13 fantasy points. Got it right in front of me. Yeah, 13.1. And Rico had 14.9. The Bucks are 11th against the position, and the Rams are 16th. So it's not like we're looking at an outstanding matchup for either. That was the hardest thing with Breece Hall last week, is that he was playing the Jags. Like, it was a great matchup. I think I lean Rico, but it's not like either of these teams are really playing for anything. I think I lean Rico right now, but you could definitely argue either way. We'll leave it to we need a poll. I've been kind of slacking on the polls lately, so let's do this. Who you starting in week 16? And guys, while we're hanging out, hit the like. Let's see here. So Breece Hall versus the Rams, who are 16th against running backs, or Rico Dowdle versus the Bucks. I forgot for like a split second who are 11th. Yeah, like I said, I think I leaned Rico, but I think you could easily argue the upside lies with Brees Hall. All right, that's a good one, Bryce. What's up, Albert? Good to see you. Let's hear. Jennifer's in 3 leagues. I lost in one, made the championship in one, and in the consolation bracket in another. I mean, pretty pretty even distribution there. Not too bad. Not too bad. But if you're in the ship in one league, that's a good thing. Daniel, what's going on? Thanks for all the advice. Of course, happy to help you guys as much as I can. Made it to round 2. Need a flex. Myers, Dowdle, Judy, Pollard. Should I play Lamar or Darnold? Okay. I've been very vocal about Sam Darnold. But if I own Lamar, like I'm not even rostering Darnold. I mean, the only reason I would roster Darnold would be in case of a Lamar injury. But if I have Lamar, I don't care about the matchups. I'm just starting Lamar, and I know that's probably why you asked the question, is because it's a tougher matchup on paper for Lamar, and all that. But I know the last time he played the Steelers, he wasn't great, but I'm not benching Lamar. I mean, he just threw 5. I know it's the Giants, but still. And Darnold doesn't have a great matchup. The Hawks are 15th against the quarterbacks. Like, it's fine, but I'm going Lamar if I got him, man. In terms of your flex here, if Aiden O'Connell plays over Desmond Ridder, I got a tough time benching Jacoby Myers, but it's just tough to say, man. Because he gets the Jags. And he randomly, I mean, Ridder started to sling it his way towards the end of the game. He came away with 10 points. But if it's Ridder a quarterback, I just don't know if I can do that. But Aiden O'Connell a quarterback, I'll probably go Myers. And this is another, if Jameis Winston was starting, then it'd just be Judy. You don't have to overthink it. But yeah, Judy's he's a bit of a question mark this week. I think he could be fine. He gets a good matchup, but I probably still want to start one of those two. Dowdle and Pollard are fine. But I'll go Myers with Aiden O'Connell, then Judy, then Dowdle, then Pollard. If it's not Aiden O'Connell, then I think I still go Judy. Chat, let me know how you guys are feeling about Judy with DTR at quarterback. Maybe I go Dowdle. I might just go. I feel like Dowdle's the safest, but due to the matchup, I feel like Judy still has some nice upside here. That's a toughie. But I do like Myers if O'Connell's a quarterback. What's up, George? Lineup for the semifinals: Kyler, Saquon, Gibbs, Jason, MH, Kittle, Packers defense. Should I start Kyler and MH? Could pick up Rodgers or Caleb. Yeah, I don't know what to do with Kyler, man. It's a good matchup against the Panthers. I don't quite know if Rodgers is going to do what he did this past week, but it's also not a bad matchup. Caleb, I think I'll avoid Caleb here. I mean, I don't think I'm starting Caleb Williams, although the Lions are completely depleted. My gut says just roll with Kyler Murray, but I mean, great matchup this past week and did nothing with it, right? So I totally understand. No touchdowns at all, just 10 fantasy points, but it's just a really good matchup against the Panthers. And the Cardinals have not been eliminated from playoff contention yet. They're sitting at a 13% chance of making the playoffs. Oh, man. Chat, would you guys rather pick up Aaron Rodgers against the Rams, who are 23rd against the position? Rodgers coming off a huge game. Or would you take another shot on Kyler? The weird thing with Kyler is 17 or more fantasy points, 2 straight games before this past week. And you take away one interception in each game. Let's say he just threw 1 interception instead of 2. He'd have 20 fantasy points in both those games. That's why I was okay with him in week 15. But man, it's just this offense is, I don't know, bro. Then Marvin Harrison Jr., like he's just a flex to me, and that's what he's been the last 2 weeks. And the Panthers are not that bad against opposing wide receivers. I keep bringing up this point over and over again. Like some people, and I'm not saying that you're saying this, George, but some people look at this Panthers team like, oh, I'm just going to start everybody. It's like that's not really the case. um, so yeah, the Panthers are 15th against wide receivers. Like they're not great, but they're not bad. Um, I don't know that I trust Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Caleb Williams is getting eaten alive, that offensive line. So I think I go Kyler. Saquon Gibbs, fine. Jason, if Sam Howell's a quarterback, might see a lower ceiling. MH, like, so is this the same league, MH or DJ Moore, or are these different leagues? If you're starting Kyler and MH, I mean, that's still fine. And MH is due for a touchdown. That's kind of his problem. Like, if he doesn't score a touchdown, you do not get a good fantasy day out of him. Every week this year, he's scored a touchdown. He's had 15 and a half or more fantasy points. All his double-digit performances are games he scores touchdowns. All right, so it's the same league. I see at the bottom of the chat. I think I like DJ Moore more, no pun intended, but I will say I'm pretty high on DJ Moore and Keenan Allen going into the week, and Roma Dunze can always be a factor, but this Lions defense is, I mean, they had the Lions, including David Montgomery, had 4 season-ending injuries this past Sunday. They already had like 12 defensive players on IR. I mean, it sucks for fantasy and real life football. Like I'd rather see this team at full health, but we cannot ignore that. I mean, we just can't. So I think I'm pretty dang high on DJ Moore and Keenan Allen going into the week. I mean, you got Khalil Dorsey on IR now, Carlton Davis on IR now as well. So 2 cornerbacks headed to IR after this week. And the Lions were already giving up the 22nd most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. And then they had a Lee McNeil hurt too, headed IR on or at the defensive tackle position, you know. Their front seven's completely banged up. Corners, safeties hitting IR left and right. I mean, this has got to be one of the worst cases for a true Super Bowl caliber team that we've seen in the regular season. If they make it to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, it's going to be outstanding. But yeah, I mean, like you look here and it's literally, I mean, this is since this past week, right? I mean, defensive tackle, corner, linebacker, Monty, Aiden Hutchinson, defensive tackle, linebacker, Malcolm Rodriguez, one of the stars of Hard Knocks, right? Cleve Raymond IR, corner to IR, safety to IR, linebacker to IR, linebacker to IR, linebacker to IR, defensive tackle, defensive end, defensive tackle, defensive end. Like, we won't, well, some of these are in August, my bad. But, you know, it's just, it's outstanding how many players they've had head to IR. And like I said, they're almost all defensive players. So I am pretty high on DJ Moore and Keenan Allen going into the week. Don't know that I feel great about Caleb Williams. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason why the Bills put up the amount of points that they put up this past week against the Lions, you know, and the week before, I mean, they allowed 31 points. So this defense is really banged up, and it's really going to have a big impact. So I think to answer your question, I'm going DJ Moore over Marvin Harrison Jr. But I just go Kyler is my thought there, a quarterback. All right, Jelly of the Month, Strange or Ferguson over Otten? Yeah, Otten, it just has not been there. Tried to hold out hope for a week or two, but that's kind of been my like, it hasn't been there with Otten. And there's really no explanation other than the run game is so good. Mike Evans is back, and now Jalen McMillan is emerging as well. He just hasn't been necessary. So I will go Brenton Strange. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm on the Brenton Strange train this week. So we were there early in the season when Ingram was out, and we're going back. Big game for him this past week. Great matchup this week. I don't really trust Ferguson. Like, here's the thing. Like, we saw 3 tight ends for the Cowboys get involved this past week. It was a great matchup. It's not a bad matchup this week, but I'm going Brenton Strange. All right, Chaz, need your help. Let's go. Receiver and a flex. Brown, Devontae. I mean, there's your answer. I mean, I don't know. You got some pretty damn good choices here. Brown, Devontae, Pickens, Bucky, Cook, Chase, and Saquon. I mean, this is the problem in this type of situation, or maybe the style of league you're in, is you're making these really tough choices every single week. Or maybe you're in like a normal format and you just did a lot of trades or something. But yeah, I think I'm going Brown, Devontae, Chase, Saquon. And I said it all last week, like, I got a really tough time benching AJ Brown, and I feel the same this week. So I love me some Bucky Irving. James Cook has been great. Great. Top 10 running back on the season. Pickens probably not going to play. I hate to break it to you guys. I have Pickens in 2 very crucial leagues, and I don't know if he's going to play the rest of the fantasy season, but don't quote me. I think I go Brown and Devonta. I don't know how we bench Devontae Adams right now. I mean, he's been on fire. The target share is ridiculous. I know I was a little bit lower on Devontae Adams, like midpoint of the Jets trade and everything, and I was still high on Wilson, but there's just no denying it now. I mean, he has 4 touchdowns in 3 straight games and 17.6 or more fantasy points in 3 straight games. And I don't know what the Jets are playing for. The pride of Aaron Rodgers, I guess, but Adam's a big part of it, right? And he has 11 more targets in 3 straight games. Let's just compare that to Garrett Wilson. He does have 10 or more targets in 2 of his last 3 games, so not too bad. But it's Adams the number 1 read, so I think I'm going with those guys. Maybe you want to bench one or the other for Cook or Bucky. Like, I don't really blame you. But I think I go Brown and Devonta and full PPR. The good news is, like, you don't have a bad start. All right. Let me get caught back up here. All right, Andrea. Can you trust Jerry Jeudy? That is a good question. Trust is a strong word. I don't know if I trust Jeudy this week. I just don't know. It is a good matchup. But I mean, we're just entering the unknown territory, okay? I mean, he has 11 or more targets in every game since week 9, except for 2 games, both against Pittsburgh. We're just entering a complete unknown because DTR is the starter. I don't know what we're gonna get. We have no sample size. Our only sample size is this past week where he was 4 of 9 passing for 18 passing yards and a passing touchdown. It is a good matchup. Maybe he gets benched. Maybe he gets hurt. Maybe he can do something against the Bengals. Trust a strong word. He's definitely flexible, startable. That's as far as I'll go. Lost Kamara. Chase Brown is available. Why is Chase Brown available? I mean, drop Darnell Mooney and get Chase Brown like last week. Why is that a thing? And I don't know if Kamara's not out officially, so bear that in mind. But I'd rather start Chase Brown than an injured Alvin Kamara right now. Happy holidays to you, Sean. Knicks, Goff, or Stafford? Yeah, this is the conundrum with if you're rostering 3 quarterbacks, maybe one or two of these guys are on waivers. You're just asking, but it just gets really nitpicky, right? So I do think Bo Nix can easily bounce back this week. It's not the best matchup against the Chargers, but they just gave up a ton of points to Baker and company. It is a bad matchup. I mean, the Bears have allowed the fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks. So, do you think Goff could come back to earth this week? And then Stafford on paper has the best matchup. So, I mean, this is going to be a close call. I would trust your gut. I do think Stafford will bounce back this week. I talk about that in the quarterback video, which will come out tonight at midnight. I think I would stick with Goff, but it's tough to say, man. I do think the one positive thing that kind of will happen with the Lions that we've seen over the past 2 weeks is like their defense is going to struggle, and that's going to force them to throw the football a bit more. And I also talked about this in the quarterback tight end video, like with Monty out, like I know Craig Reynolds is a serviceable RB2, but the heartbeat of this team is that 1-2 punch in Gibbs and Monty. And I think people are just looking at the fact like, oh, Gibbs going to get a ton of volume. That is true, more than likely, but it's also going to change this offense a little bit. And I think guys like Laporta and Jameson Williams are going to have to step up a bit more, like we saw this past week. And I think bigger games from Amon-Ra St. Brown could even happen. So, all these things positively impact Jared Goff. So he has the worst matchup on paper, but I think for now I may stick with Goff. But that's the thing. Once again, you get in these type of situations at quarterback and tight end, especially, it just gets really close. Looking at very thin margins between like these three caliber quarterbacks. So I would trust your gut, whoever you feel best about. I think they're all very startable this week, but keep in mind, like Bo Nix has like 5 interceptions in his last 2 games. It's a short week, tough matchup. Stafford had an awful game last week. Good matchup this week. I think I stick with Goff, but it's very close. Patrick, Merry Christmas to you. We're almost there. Crafter Laporta. I mean, I think I lean Laporta right now, actually. But you're kind of in this spot. Once again, this is a good example. Like with tight end, the margins are very thin too. Like you're either in need of high volume or a touchdown. That's really like what makes and breaks tight ends, right? So the Bears have not been good against tight ends. Kraft, I think you could argue, is a bit more touchdown dependent. Plus, I think that game script's a lot less competitive. I don't think the Saints are going to do much at all against this Packers team. I think it's going to be a big Josh Jacobs day. I mean, we'll find out. The Saints hung around with the Commanders more than I thought they would. But yeah, I think I lean Laporta. He's been solid over the past 3 games. Kraft didn't do much this past week, but outside of that was pretty solid for 3 games as well. So, it's close, but I think I like Laporta right now. All right. So Chaz, earlier, I got your non-edited message. You also have Connor in there. That's fine. I mean, you're not making a bad start no matter what you do. And that's what makes these types of situations so frustrating is I would assume your opponent has a similar sort of roster. So you have to start the right guys, but you're not making a bad start no matter what you do here. Thoughts on Arizona this week as a defense is what I'm going to assume you're asking. I'm kind of out on Arizona as a streaming defense. Like they have not proven it over the last 3 weeks. Carolina has not been that bad. Then they get the Rams. They're on the road for both of these games. The 2 teams that I was excited about earlier in the season, this time of year for defensive streams, were the Bucs and the Cardinals. And I feel better about the Bucs, but I still don't think either of these teams have a ton of upside. Then we have like these different situations, like the Saints quarterbacks, the Raiders quarterbacks, the Giants quarterbacks. Like there's other streaming opportunities. If you're asking about Arizona's offense this week, probably fine. Trey McBride will catch a lot of footballs and not score, and Connor will have a big week, and MH and Kyler have a chance to be good this week, but they could also be bad. That's just what we've seen. Stevenson, White, Swift, Shakir, Myers pick 3 of 5 in non-PPR. Non-PPR makes it a bit interesting. Well, I'll probably start Rashad White. And I keep saying it, and everyone's like, you just like Rashad White. And I do like Rashad White, but week 13 wasn't that great. Bucky had a big game that week, but outside of that, he has double digits in every game since week 7. And has scored a touchdown in every game since week 7, except for week 13. He's still very involved in this offense. Ceiling may not be as high, but he also had 24 fantasy points 2 weeks ago. So, and I mean, that was a game where Bucky was hurt, but still, he is capable of a ceiling. So I'll go White. This is a tough bunch of players here because Swift really should have had double digits this past week, scored a touchdown that was called back. So he really didn't have that bad of a game, and the Lions are all banged up. I like Shakir a lot, but non-PPRs maybe a little different. Stevenson, it's a good matchup, but I don't know about the Patriots this week versus the Bills. And Myers, we don't know he's playing quarterback. I would say, generally speaking, I would prefer White, Shakir, and Myers, but the non-PPR makes it a little bit interesting because Shakir only has 3 touchdowns on the season. Myers not a huge touchdown guy. I still think the best overall start. Sometimes I try to take the scoring out of it and just look at the best potential starts, and I think that's going to be Shakir, Myers if O'Connell plays, and White. If O'Connell doesn't play, I would probably swap Myers with Swift, but it's close between him and Stevenson. Good question there. Which kicker, Lutz or McManus? Lutz has been on fire, man. I think I'm sticking with Lutz. McManus has not been that bad either, but Lutz just kind of feels like a player that I want to start. I think I'm leaning Will Lutz here. And the Broncos also one of these teams that don't always finish off those drives, right? But McMahon has been pretty dang good too. I think I'll go Lutz in a more competitive game script, but it's very close. Very close. Whoever you feel better about, keep in mind the Broncos have a short week too. Merry Christmas to you, Jonathan. We're not quite there, but we're almost there. I'm very serious about Christmas if you guys don't know this yet. But I will be on again before Christmas. So actually, as a matter of fact, I don't know what next week's going to bring, but I'll be on Saturday for sure. I was going to say I might be streaming on Christmas Eve, but I don't know if I will be because I got Christmas Eve party here, the fam. All right, Jaden Daniels or Kyler Murray. I'm sticking with Jaden Daniels. But this is interesting because Kyler's got the matchup. JD5 has got the tough matchup. So if I talk about it in the quarterback video, I'm not benching Jaden Daniels. But it's a good question. And as always, trust your gut. Christian on top, the semifinals. Thanks for the help on who to start my wide receiver, of course. Happy you got there. Okay, chat is repeating for me, and I don't know why. Oh. On to the semifinals. Thanks for the advice and solidifying my lineup. Yes, sir. Why would the Browns bench Winston? Thompson is even worse. He's a dink and dunk. Beats me. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Winston looked really bad last week, but I kind of agree. I'm like, why not just ride this thing out? I guess I just want to get DTR some more live reps, see what they have, because I don't think Winston is signed through next year, and I believe DTR is still on his rookie contract. Yeah, so they're trying to see what they got in their QB too, and the rumors and reports are already saying that Deshaun Watson is going to be the starter next year for the Browns. they don't really have a choice. He's tied to this team, and apparently Kevin Stefanski's not going anywhere at head coach, which I think is fair. And Andrew Berry, their GM's not going anywhere. So I mean, who knows what the heck the Browns are doing, and they laid their bed, right? But they're really just trying to get some live reps for DTR, who's going to be on this roster next year, at least theoretically, and Winston probably won't be. Richard, Bucky and Hall, or Bucky and McMillan? I do like McMillan this week. Try to play all three. I mean, it depends on who else you got, but I'll say right now, I prefer the Buccaneers players. All right, Slatton. We got Burrow, Bijan, A-Chain, CD, London, Hawk, Garando. Nice. Your opponent has Hurts, Barkley, Connor, Evans, Devonta, Crab, Bucky. I mean, you never know. And like, guys, a great example of don't pay attention to projections. Ignore what happens on Thursday. Okay. I went into this week in a matchup where I had Jawan Jennings, Cooper Kupp, and Brock Purdy starting. Okay. And I still won my. Oh, uh, just ignore the noise, set your best lineup, and that's all you can do. This dude talks so much, I can't lose to this dude. It's part of it. Just enjoy it. Talk back. GG's at the end of the day, right? Just enjoy it. That's part of the fun, right? Manny at the bottom of the chat. Thank you for the super chat. Start 2, Chase Brown, Chuba, Bucky, and Colts or Atlanta. Very close here. Very, very close. I do think Chuba's going to have a better week than this past week. But, man, if I got Chase Brown and Bucky Irving, I'm starting those guys. They're just they're a little bit higher overall. So I'm going Chase Brown and Bucky, but very close. And I still think Chuba's going to have a good week. Colts or Atlanta. So I did like the Colts defense a lot going into the week. I think they're the first defense I talk about in the defense video. I still like them. I still think they're startable, but their upside lowers because we know Mason Rudolph is better than Will Levis. And he's at least less turnover prone. So he did throw a pick this past week. But I would still rather start the Colts against Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. So they go down in tier, but I do like the Falcons a lot this week. And one thing that I really wanted to see was how do the Falcons play against a backup quarterback on Monday Night Football? And I have to record the defense videos on Sunday nights. So I still put them in the video, but they came through big time against the Raiders with 21 points. And they had 13 points in week 13 and 0 points in week 14, but let's ignore that. So I like them a lot this week. I think they have more upside, whether it's DeVito, Drew Lock, or Tim Boyle. The turnover potential is going to be there. I would roll with the Falcons this week over the Colts. But the Colts are still startable, like I said, but I think the Falcons are the better start. And yeah, man, it is close with those running backs, but I'm going to bench Chuba. Very close. Patrick says he went Rico due to primetime. Sometimes those primetime games do bring out the best, but we shall see. Dowdle or Garando? Ooh, that's close. I think I'm sticking with Dowdle. I think I'm sticking with Dowdle, but Garando's very startable, and Garando, I mean, he was fine last week. Like, what, 10 or 11 points? Like, it wasn't bad. Just wasn't good. You're expecting a little bit more from the week before. I like Dowdle. Like, I think Dowdle's just very solid. It is a bit of a tougher matchup. The Bucs are 11th against running backs. The Dolphins are 18th for Garando. So I think they're pretty close, but Dowdle has just been solid. And that offense really leans on him. And I will say, like, the Dolphins have been pretty good against the pass, and it might be a little bit more difficult for the Cowboys to move the football this week. But excuse me, for the not for the Cowboys. It it might be a little bit tougher for the Niners to move the football going up against the Dolphins pass defense, but either way here, I think I lean Dowdle. I just feel a little bit better about him, but both are like they're close. They're still solid. Hurts or Jaden Daniels. I mean, you could really flip a coin here. Like you're not making a bad start either way. But I think I'm still leaning Hurts. I think I still lean Hurts. It's a better matchup, but very close. Larry needed one wide receiver. London, JSN, McConkey, Neighbors, BTJ. Whew. Starting Jacobs, Flexing, Chase Brown, and Bucky. Very nice. Man. I mean, any of these wide receivers could outscore each other. That's just the reality. You got a ton of studs right here, man. I do really like Lad McConkey this week, and I think Neighbors is going to have another solid week. But I said it all last week, and I've said it a lot this season. If I got Brian Thomas Jr., I'm starting him. So I think I'm sticking with my guy BTJ here. The Raiders are 11th against receivers, better than you might think. Neighbors has the best matchup. I think I'm going BTJ. I just think it's really tough to bench him right now. And the Jags aren't keeling over, right? I mean, they're going to let Mac Jones sling that football. I think I'm going BTJ. But once again, just don't be surprised. Any of these guys can outscore each other. Like you got this receiver room full of studs. So I do really like Neighbors this week, even with the quarterback situation. Ladd should be solid, but it is a short week and a tough matchup. But Pat Surtain got banged up against the Colts. JSN may have a lower ceiling. London did score a touchdown, but didn't do much after that because Kirk doesn't do anything these days. I think I go BTJ. And I would start all running backs if I'm either. Francis MH Jr. startable. Yeah, he's startable. He's just like in that flex tier is about it. Not liking Judy this week. I am very worried about Judy as well. Jennifer's my first year in fantasy football. What is the consolation? That's like the losers bracket, toilet bowl, consolation bracket, whatever you want to call it. So I guess like in a normal league setup, you would have the winners bracket and the consolation bracket. Some people call it the consolation bracket, which is like the nice term. The toilet bowl would be like the more degrading term. But if you were in the winners bracket, even if you lost this past week, you would remain in that bracket and could play for either third place or fifth place, depending on where and you lose and all that. So it's just the losers bracket. I don't really know why it's called consolation, though. But that's what it's called, technically. Let's see. Tommy, what's up? First round exits in both the catch fam leagues. McCormick hurt me, and playing Winston over Love cost me the victory in League 2. How'd you do in your playoff matches? I did okay. I did okay, actually. I'll pull up on my phone. You know what I like on Sleeper is on your phone. It'll just show you the trophies on each side. If on PC, it doesn't show you that. So, okay, I won in Endgame League, which is good. I got a pretty dang good team in that league. I was on bye week in the second Endgame League. I lost in the Catch Fam 2 to Box and the Jack. 113 to 126. Good little matchup there. Beat Steven in a home league, super flex league, 194 to 168. And I really thought he was going to beat me. I lost in the Catch Fam auction league to Prodigy, 149 to 119. He just beat me straight up. Okay, Chase, if you are in the chat, I'm so sorry. I have to bring this up. I beat Chase in the single quarterback dynasty league 2 by 2 points, not even 2 points, 1.5 points. He had Brock Bowers, and I felt so bad because the Raiders kept driving the football, and all he needed was a point or a point and a half from Brock Bowers. Um, and he also had Sam Darnold, and it didn't happen. And every time the Raiders kept driving at the end of that game, I was like, they got it. Like, when are they're just going to throw the Bowers. There's no way I win this. It did not happen. That was a really fun matchup. And Chase, of course, a very long time subscriber, so that was a great matchup, man. Dynasty Superflex League number 2, I lost to J Dubs, 147 to 124. I was okay losing in that league. I have all my draft picks. I drafted very young, just a good team that I put together. But I was going for the win, and I lost. Then I beat J Dubs in the other Superflex league, 160 to 132. That was the league that I had Purdy, Cup, and Jennings. Just a lot of studs on this team. Henry didn't have a good game, but I have him. Chase Brown, Zay Flowers, Johnny Smith, T. Higgins, Amon Ra, Burrow, the rest of my squad that was active. So that was a good matchup as well. So I did okay. I did fine. Got knocked out here and there, got through here and there as well. Best ball, I think I had either 5 or 6 teams advance, which is okay. Not that bad. I had initially like 30 teams advance, so not that good actually. But I don't expect a lot from my best ball teams. So, all right, let's keep rolling here. Indy or Falcons? Yeah, we talked about this a few moments ago. I go with the Falcons. Can I trust Jerome Ford as an RB2? Well, trust is a strong word, but yeah, you can start him. It's just like, I think what hurts Ford more than anything is like, he's got a good matchup, is good, but DTR is a quarterback. I have no idea what to expect out of this offense. So, I mean, they're playing the Bengals, which is good, but the Jerome Ford was good last year when he was a starter. He was not that good this year when he was a starter. Like, he was decent at best. I mean, so let's see here. I mean, Chubb didn't come until week 7. So Ford was good the first couple weeks, like 10 or more fantasy points in 3 of 4 games, 15 and a half in 2 of 4 games, and then was bad, and then was hurt, and then Chubb came back. And Donta Foreman will get activated, I would assume, and get some sort of touches. Like, I don't think it's going to hurt Ford too much, but it's just like, what is this team? Like, what are they playing for? DTR is a quarterback. Like, he's startable, but he's not going to be great, more than likely. We'll see. Tommy, I'm alive in one more league, 10 team. Alan Gibbs, Kyron, BTJ, JSN, Henry, A-Chain, Charbs. Nice. Put in a claim for Strange and Smart. What are your thoughts on if Charbonnet plays? So I think I think Strange is a good pickup for you. Not as high on Smart, but he's probably okay. Charbonnet, I mean, yeah, so I think you're asking if Walker plays. Charbonnet is probably still startable, but much more, in your case, preferred if Kenneth doesn't play, right? And in terms of, I see you at the bottom of the chat. Would you be worried about playing both BTJ and Strange? No. I never worry about that. If they're the best options you got, don't worry about them being on the same teams. Doesn't bother me. No. But yeah, I like Strange over Smart personally. Like, Smart has been fine, but I mean, I don't know if I don't think Disley's gonna play, but he hasn't technically been ruled out. He also hasn't practiced this week. It's a short week, tough matchup. Smart has had 8 or more points in 2 straight games. Like, that's fine, I guess. But what's the ceiling? Where I think Brendan Strange, it's a much better matchup. He's got a longer week and he's coming off a better game. So I would rather start Brendan Strange. All right. Cook bounce back. Yeah, I mean, well, bounce back from week 14, right? Not week 15. Ghost Hunter, what's up, man? Need 3 wide receivers and a flex. Sutton, DJ Moore, DK, Tyreek, JMO, T, Terry Dowdle, half PPR. Also, Green Bay, Atlanta, Denver, Jacksonville, or Indy this week. All right. So I'm going Green Bay defense. I'll go Green Bay, Atlanta, Denver. This is the exact order I put them in: Green Bay, Atlanta, Denver, Jacksonville, Indy, but Jacksonville only if Ritter's the QB. Three wide receivers. I mean, these are good options, bro. Chacho. I'm going T. Higgins. I'm going DJ Moore. Oh man, it's tough after that. I think I just stick with Terry. I hate his matchup, but I think I stick with Terry. And then that last one's really up in the air. Tyreek DK or JMO. I think I'd probably just go Tyreek personally. I know he had a bad week this past week and the matchup was good and what the heck happened, but if it's not Tyreek, it's JMO. But I think I would just trust my studs, although all these guys are studs. And I think I go Sutton, DJ Moore. Oh, I forgot about Sutton. So I go Sutton, DJ Moore, T. Higgins. And the last one's still kind of tough, man. I would trust your gut, but man, Terry has just been so good. I think I go Terry, but Tyreek's fine there. JMO's fine there too. DK is my odd man out here. Um, but I think even in half PPR, I'd stick with the receivers here. Yeah, go get Chase Brown if he's out there, Jonathan. Man, he starts you Chase Brown, Bucky, and Chuba. Yeah, I'm going Chase Brown and Bucky, which I think we got to earlier. But I still like Chuba a lot this week. If Walker plays, I'll need a new flex. Please rate McMillan, Bateman, Coker, Ford, Miller off waivers. You got Seawat and Hop on the bench. Well, Seawat and Hopkins are not bad bench options, but I would get McMillan. I mean, I want McMillan, Bateman, then Ford, then Coker, then Miller. And I really like McMillan. Like I think McMillan is a great pickup. The Bucks are in these types of situations that we want that are going to help us from a fantasy perspective. And try and be winning. I mean, especially with the Falcons winning this past week, like the Bucks are keeping their foot on the gas, right? Bateman's a nice upside play, though. Maybe you could switch Ford and Bateman. They're very close. Kind of depends if you think you need a running back or receiver. Coker, like I want to like, but you take away the big touchdown. He didn't do anything. Kendre Miller's dependent on the health of Alvin Kamara, but even if Kamara is out, it's like, I mean, what are the Saints going to do this week with alternating backup quarterbacks and a bunch of injured guys against the Packers? Like, I'm not that excited about it. So I would try to get McMillan. There's an argument for Ford or Bateman. Like Bateman's still very volatile. Maybe the floor is safer with Ford, but yeah, hopefully that. But like I said, Watson and Hopkins are at least flexible, right? You're welcome, Sean. No worries, man. Mateo, what's going on? Brochacho. Does Monty out hurt Gibbs? No. I don't think it hurts him, but I think it's a good point to bring up. Like, I'm glad that somebody's actually bringing this up because I do think that Monty, in a sense, helps Gibbs. Like, I think it's a really fair point. But I don't think it's going to hurt him ultimately at the same time, if that makes any sense. Coast Hunter, I never thought I'd ask a question about starting Darnold again, so I won't. I will utilize a loophole and ask you to rank him, Kyler, Goof, Caleb, and May. Very close here. I'm going to go. I'm so torn on Kyler this week. I'm really torn on him. I think I go Darnold, Kyler, Goff, and I wouldn't even consider the other two if I had those three. But probably Drake May than Caleb. I just don't feel great about Caleb Williams right now. Was that helpful? I survived benching Goff this week, but I won't survive a blunder that big this week. Yeah. I don't think Goff is going to quite do that this week, but you never know. I mean, Kyler's got the matchup. Goff has the worst matchup of this bunch, and they're on the road. But I do think Darnold will be solid this week. I mean, all Darnold was missing was the touchdowns, and you know, Cam Akers scored a touchdown. Aaron Jones ran for a touchdown near the goal line, both of them. So that didn't help, but that's tough. Who'd you go with last week? Darnold and Kyler. That makes sense. Rico, Pollard, Thielen. Who? Yeah, Thielen kind of got his volume made into there by Coker, huh? And Pollard kind of got his volume made into by Spears, which was not fun if you started Thielen or Pollard. I still like Pollard this week, and I don't really mind Thielen this week. But I think I'll go Rico and Pollard. If you want to go Rico and Thielen, that's fine, but the matchups are better for Rico and Pollard. The Cardinals are still pretty good against receivers. Happy Pair League. Which three should I start? Reed, Dobbs, Worthy, Tillman, Tracy, Stevenson. Choose one. Oh wait. Oh, CJ needed me to choose one. Rico. I like Rico the best out of that bunch. Sorry. Getting back to this one. I would go Tracy. I told you guys all last week that I did not like Tyrone Tracy. It's not a great matchup this week, actually. Maybe I'm a little bit shakier on Tracy than I thought, but I'll start Jaden Reed. Like his floor is very safe. So let's go Jaden Reed. Let's go Xavier Worthy. And the last one's tough. I think Dobbs is still fine, but I just don't think Dobbs is going to score 2 touchdowns again. You know, it's the thing with these Packers receivers. They're so volatile. And I think Stevenson could actually have a good week. I'm going to go to matchups here. I'm going to go Worthy, Stevenson, and Reed. But you got a lot of really questionable players that could easily outscore each other. This is a tough one that might take a little bit longer on the week to marinate a bit. All right, so the chat is repeating for me. Hold on. Okay. Lost Monty, start a wide receiver 2 and a flex. Ridley, Myers, Jennings, if you get them. Waddle or Downs. I was flexing Ramondre, but forced to start him at RB2 with Monty out. Okay. I will, like, I want to start Myers if Aiden O'Connell's a quarterback. We just don't know yet. Good matchup for him, and he might even be okay with Ritter at QB. And Ridley should be better, I guess, with Rudolph at quarterback. And I think Waddle would have had a good week if he didn't get hurt. But now we don't know, and now he's got a tougher matchup this week. I'm not touching Josh. Like maybe Josh Downs is the best player here, but I just can't. I mean, what are we supposed to do with these Colts receivers? I think I'm going Ridley and Myers. But if you want to go Jennings over one or the other, I think that's fine. This is a tough week with some of these quarterback situations. I think I go Ridley and Myers. But like I said, you want to go Jennings over whoever you like less. I think that's fine too. All right, so we got this one. Mateo, Cardinals, Texans, or Falcons? I think I'm going with the Falcons here. I'm gonna go Falcons, then the Texans. If Mahomes is out, then the Cardinals. I don't really trust the Cardinals right now. But yeah, if you can get the Falcons, I would roll with the Falcons. Crazy to bench Derrick Henry for Rico? Yes. I'm sticking by my theory here. Like, I think Henry will be fine this week. I if I own Henry, I'm playing him. Um, and I get it. Like, it's not a great matchup, but I mean, the last time he played the Steelers, he still scored and still had 10.5 points. Like, they're at home. I just if you want to do it, trust your gut. And I do like Rico this week, and his matchup is better. But the Bucks are still a pretty good run defense. So I mean, they're 11th against the position. The Steelers are 10th. Like, I just this is a good example. You're not even getting it's a one spot difference in terms of the defenses here. So I think I just stick with Henry. Trust your gut. Am I crazy for thinking of benching Lamar for Darnold? I mean, once again, I personally would not, but you're not crazy. All right, I think we got that one earlier. Never had it so good. I'm debating picking up Strange. I have Henry. My opponent has Njoku. Maybe block him. You think Green Bay defense top dog? Have Cards and Ravens. Yeah. I mean, unless you're blocking your opponent from defenses as well, I would, if you have Green Bay, I just roll with them, and then I'd hit the tables again next week to stream somebody else because they're going to play the Vikings, which I don't feel great about. But I don't think I'm starting any of these defenses in week 17. Raiders Saints is an interesting matchup. Titans Jags is an interesting matchup. It's actually not a great week. Dolphins Browns might be one. Yeah, I mean, it's not great in week 17. Chargers Patriots, maybe there's something there. Bills Jets, maybe. But yeah, if you can just roster the Packers this week, I think that's fine. And yeah, you want to pick up Strange, that's fine too. And I might actually like Strange a bit more than Henry. Would you switch from Dicker to York? I mean, it's always close. And of course, Pete's kickers rankings will come out tomorrow. But yeah, Dicker's been playing at a little bit of a lower ceiling the past two games. And York, I mean, it's not much of a difference for me. So maybe the matchup's more favorable for York. So you go that way if you feel better about it. It's not a short week, but it's close. I don't really feel great about either. Never had it so good. Devonta Smith or Brian Robinson Jr. I'll go Devonta. Telling you guys for weeks, don't you bench Devonta Smith if he's healthy. And it is a better matchup. Commanders are 19th against receivers, and the Eagles are second against running backs. So I'll go Devonta. Adventures from the queue need the win this week, don't we all? All right. So we need 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. Taylor, Robinson, Irving, Tracy Garando, Jennings, Reed. B. Tom and Joku are Strange. Yeah, so start Jaden Daniels. I'm starting Bucky Irving for sure. Running backs are a bit tricky. I think I stick with Jonathan Taylor. It's a better matchup. If he didn't have the fumble debacle, he would have had a good game. He did have a good game outside of the fumble, right? I mean, I go Taylor, Bucky, B. Tom. I mean, Reed or Janney is a coin flip. Just I think I go Jaden Reed, but it's super close between those two. And then, I mean, you got to flex somebody here. It's I'd probably just flex Jennings. If not, I'd flex Garando. So JT Irving, I'm a little lower on B Rob this week. He is startable, but I'm lower on him. Reed, B Tom, and then I would flex Garando or Jennings, whoever you feel better about. And I'll start Njoku if he's healthy. If he's not, I'll go Strange. If you don't feel good about the Browns situation with DTR at quarterback, you just go Strange. All right. Herbert or Bo Nix? I'll go Bo Nix. I think there's more upside. Herbert's been not great. All right. Start 2, flex 1. Full PPR. Zay, Flowers, Shakir, Higgins, Myers, Judy. Should I drop in Joku or Butker for Ford? I have Kittle and Bates. I mean, you don't need to start Butker. I mean, you don't need to roster Butker if you have Bates, in my opinion. So I would start Shakir, Higgins, Myers is who I would flex if O'Connell's the quarterback. If he's not, you could go with another option here, but I would prefer Shakir, Higgins, and Judy or Shakir, Higgins, and Myers this week. I would try to not drop Njoku, but I would drop Butker for Jerome Ford for sure. But I would not drop Njoku. He might play this week or week 17 and keeps him away from another team. But you don't need Butker if you got Bates. Butker had 3 points this past week. The wide receivers are pretty close there, though. All right, this is the closest I've been in fantasy winning the whole thing, considering the team I had no shot got eliminated. Lamar, Barkley, Amon-Ra, Judy, London, Flowers. Definitely my last year. Don't let it be your last year, Chris. Don't let it be. And play in more leagues next year. It will make the pain more tolerable. All right. Sorry, guys. Pick 3 for flex spots. Jennings, Garando, Ladd, Kraft, Reed, Otten. Also, Otten, Jonnu, or Kraft a tight end in full PPR. I think I still stick with Ladd McConkey, even though it's a tough matchup this week. I think out of these options, I'm sticking with Ladd. I'll stick with Garando. Then it comes down to Jaden Reed or Jennings, whoever you're feeling better about. Lots of volatility between those two. And I'm starting Johnny Smith. You got Johnny Smith at tight end, no question. Lutz or Sanders? They've both been very good as of late. They've both been very good. How did Sanders finish this past week? Yeah, 7 points. I think I lean Lutz, but if you want to avoid, sometimes a short week is not great. He only had 8 points this past week. I think I want to go Lutz because I feel like the Chargers are one of these teams that can stall drives a little bit. I know they didn't do a lot of that this past week, but I think I'm going Lutz, but it's very close. Very close. Fairbairn or Bass? I think I go Fairbairn. I think I go Fairbairn here. Bass is one of these guys who it always feels good, but I mean, I know he had a big game this past week, but I mean, they just put up so many points. I feel like Fairbairn is a little bit more consistent. I mean, he's a kicker too, so I'm gonna go with him. I'm gonna go with him. Would you be worried about playing both? Okay, we already got this one. Um, hey John, what's up, Chase? Picked up the Bengals defense the last second and bailed me out. Purdy almost killed me. Oh, was that against me or just in general? Did I play you or just the other Chase this week? Oh, just the other Chase, I think. Yeah, so for those of you guys who um did not listen to me and start the Bengals defense this past week, congrats. Because I was worried about them. I have Purdy and Stafford on my roster, but I'm not sure if I should go with one of them or try to get Rodgers. I just stick with Stafford. Like he's got the matchup. I think Purdy's fine. I think Rodgers fine. I think Stafford's fine. Like, I don't think Purdy's gonna have that bad of a week this week compared to last week. And I don't think any of these guys are going to make or break you. Shadow's wicked. Pick two, one wide receiver and a flex. MH Jr., Thielen, Johnston, Rashad White, ETN. I'm gonna go Rashad White and probably Thielen and MH. I'm a little tempted about ETN there, but I don't think I'm gonna go there. Michael Wilson or Elijah Moore? There's a good question. There's a little off the wall question. Michael Wilson or Elijah Moore? And half PPR. I think I'll go Michael Wilson because especially if Njoku and Tillman are back, like, and then we got DTR at quarterback, and Wilson or Moore had an awful game. Not that Wilson had a good game. I think I'll go Michael Wilson, but I know you don't like either option, and it could easily go either way. But yeah, there's a good question. Start Daniels or Love this week. Yeah, I think Love is one of these guys that's like, um, the floor's there, but that's about it. So I would probably take the upside with Jaden Daniels still. But if you feel better about Love, my only issue with Love and the thing that I worry about, I talk about this in the quarterback video, which will come out tonight. Like, I just think it's gonna be a big Josh Jacobs game. I just don't know how much he's gonna need to throw. The Saints offense not gonna be competitive, I don't think. And you look at the past couple weeks, Love has just kind of been okay, you know. So I think I still lean Jaden Daniels. Could be a more competitive game script. Zay Flowers or Jaden Reed asks Greg. That is about as tough of a question as you'll see all night. Jaden Reed has a great matchup. The Saints are giving up the 26 most fantasy points, but like I just said, I don't know how much they're going to need to throw. I think his floor is safe, but I think Zay Flowers' floor is safe too. Not as good of a matchup, but limited upside too. I think I lean Zay Flowers just because it's a little bit safer. Little bit safer, but I guess the upside lies with Jaden Reed. But that's a good question, Craig. All right. Let me make sure. Yeah, I don't know why the chat keeps repeating for me, and I got to scroll all the way down. Sorry, let me see. Okay, here we go. See, like everything repeats. I don't know what. All right, who to start at running back this week? Asked Jacob. Brees, Ford, Spears, Garando, and also Charbonnet or Kenneth if active. I mean, I think I'll probably just take the floor with Garando. I probably take Brees here. I just take the floor with those two guys, but this could really go in any direction. I don't think that Spears is going to have another like big game again, like he did this past week. But he's startable. I think I just go Garando and Brees. I think they're the safest and in the most arguably most efficient offenses. But if K9's out, then Charbonnet over one or the other for sure. Tommy, I'm all over the place. If Kenneth is out, top three: Charb, Ford, McMillan, Bateman, Watson, D Hop. Yeah, try not to overthink it too much because all these guys are perfectly fine. Charb, if Kenneth is out for sure, then McMillan. The last one's kind of up to you, whoever you feel the best about. Last one's tough. Like I don't think Bateman's going to repeat this past week either. I think I go Charb McMillan for sure. It might be D Hop if Mahomes plays because it's a good matchup. So Kaneki, Ken, Chase, London, Adams, Dowdle, Kyron, Isaac, Garando, Williams, Kraft, Strange, Eagles, Cardinals, Chargers, Texans need to choose a 9-man team without a quarterback. So Chase, London, Adams tough to bench. Then I'd probably go Rico and Kyron. Probably go Strange over Kraft, and I go with the Texans defense if Mahomes is out. If not, probably go. I don't know if I like any of those defenses. Maybe the Chargers. I don't know if I trust them right now, though. They were butt this past week. What other are there other defenses out there? I just don't know if I trust. I mean, the Panthers have not been that bad. The Cardinals are on the road. They haven't been that good. I don't know if I trust the Eagles defense. Did I answer your question on nine-man team without a quarterback? I think I got that. You are welcome, Tommy. Ghost Hunter, y'all hit the like button or your leading running back will fumble the ball out of the end zone for no reason again. How many did anyone out there lose their matchup because of JT? Like, did you lose your matchup by like what, 6 or less points, whatever it is? If so, I'm sorry that happened to you. Jason, Goff or Hurts this week? I'm in the semifinals. Also, Kittle or Jonnu. Started Kittle last week, and he almost got me knocked out along with Jennings, so I'm leaning Jonnu. Jonnu, yeah, yeah. I mean, Kittle's fine, you know. I mean, what Kittle have 10 points this past week? He's fine. But yeah, you got to go Jonnu. Then I'm going Hurts over Goff. I don't think Goff's going to repeat last week. I'm sticking with Hurts. Would you consider McMillan over Reed or MH? I mean, I consider it, and I mean, this is a tough one, Tommy. Because McMillan, we're still really looking at 2 games. They're just back to back. So, like, you get a little comfortable here. It's a good matchup against the Cowboys, but Reed doesn't have a bad matchup. And Marvin Harrison Jr. has the worst matchup out of the 3, but at the same time, like, he's due for a good game, I guess. I think you can consider it. On paper, I like Reed the best, but he's so volatile. There's other options. Or how much are they going to need to throw? Eh, Josh Jacobs should have a big day. This is one of those tough ones where you almost feel like you're overthinking it. Because like, you know, then you start McMillan here, and then Reed or Marvin Harrison Jr., who've had the most production on the season, just pop up and have touchdowns. You know what I mean? So I think you can definitely consider it. And I think the best potential game script might come from the Bucks Cowboys here. So that's tough. But yeah, if he likes it, I'm not against it. You are welcome, Adventures from the Queue. Happy to be here. Addison Myers or Pacheco in the flex. Have Pollard, Jones, Collins, and Amon-Ra as my starts. Yeah, I have a really tough time benching Jordan Addison right now. He's kind of progressed from a flex area to a start area. He's a top 15 wide receiver. The best thing about this past week, I know it wasn't a big game, but at least we got a floor because we were kind of like looking at these high ceiling games and then like the kind of poor game against Arizona. But now since week 11, or really since week 9, like we've gotten some floor games in there, 2 bad games, and the 2 big upside games. So it almost makes you feel a little bit better. But I think I'm going with Addison because the upside is there, but he's still probably pretty safe. But if Aiden O'Connell was a quarterback this week for the Raiders, I do like Myers. But I mean, you got Pollard, Jones are fine. McCollins and Amon-Ra are very strong. So I would take the upside in Addison. I'm not starting Pacheco over Addison or Myers, though. God's honest truth. Do you like Chuba and Ford's chances this week? I'm in the playoffs in both of my squads. Congrats on the double playoffs there. I like Chuba more than Ford, but Ford is fine. I just think the bigger issue with Ford is that DTR is going to be the quarterback. He does have a good matchup against the Bengals, 17th against running backs. And I know Chuba was really disappointing this past week, but I think he can easily bounce back this week. So the Cardinals are 23rd against running backs. So I'm okay going with Chuba this week. I would say I like Chuba more than Ford. Start Love or Russ? Love. I don't trust Russell. He's got no one to throw to outside of like Freiermuth. Pickens is probably not going to play this week, so I go Love. Start one for the wide receiver 2 and one for the flex spot. BTJ, Shakir, Reed, Garando, McMillan, or Pickens. Well, Pickens does play. I would play Pickens, but I don't know if he's going to play. So I would go Shakir and BTJ. I think those are your safest options. You have some really good options here and some guys that I wouldn't be surprised if they outscored BTJ or Shakir. But yeah, I like BTJ and Shakir the best out of these options. But if Pickens plays, you could take him over whomever you like the least there. Are the Vikings a good option this week if Geno is out? 100%. 100%. If so, I have to record the defense videos. Literally, I'm usually recording the defense and waiver video right before and as Sunday Night Football is starting. If I had known that Geno Smith was hurt, the Vikings would have easily made that video. And um if I had more belief that Mahomes wasn't going to play this week, the Texans would have made the video. There's a pinned comment, and I talk about both of those teams in the comment on the video. Mahomes or Goff? I mean, I'm probably sticking with Goff just because of the uncertainty around Mahomes. I'd someone lose a matchup because of JJ dropping that pass. I probably would have put it a TD. Yeah. Tough out there. Happy holidays to you, Jason. Yeah, Minnesota's defense got to be a good option if Sam Howell's the starting quarterback. There's just no way around it. I mean, Sam Howell threw a pick this week as is, so there's just no way around it, right? Start 2 running backs in a flex: Garando, Pollard, Hall, White, Ford, Smitty, or Shakir. Wow, there's a lot of options here. I think Pollard will be fine this week. I'll probably stick with Pollard in a pretty good matchup, and I'll go Rashad White. But I mean, you could really swap almost any of these guys. Maybe Pollard and Garando, Pollard and Hall. I like Rashad White personally, but you could also probably swap him. It's close. Very close. One flex, Devonta Smith. You already know Devonta Smith's in my starting lineup if I got him. So if it's not Smith, it's Shakir, but I'll go Devonta Smith. Should I be worried about JSN if no Geno? Probably, but I wouldn't panic. Like, they're still going to be in a position where they're going to need to throw the football. Minnesota's secondary is still the weaker part of that defense. So, yeah, a little bit of worry, but try not to overthink it. The Vikings are still giving up the most fantasy points to wide receivers on the season. So he should still get the targets. Then you never know. Like, sometimes there's a quarterback change. Maybe Sam Howell likes throwing to Tyler Lockett and DK Moore. I mean, you just don't know. But I'm not going to stress too much about JSN. And like, if you have to start JSN, you have to start him. He's still been the most productive receiver on the season. So Packers, Bills, or Falcons? I'm going Packers, then the Falcons, then the Bills. Which kicker? Fairbairn, Bass, or Aubrey? I'm going Fairbairn. Need the upside. Playing against Allen, you do need the upside. You do need it. That's the order I go: Packers, Falcons, Bills. I just stick with Fairbairn here. All right, guys, made it to the bottom of the chat. So we have start sits at running backs and wide receivers out. Start sit at quarterback, tight ends will drop at midnight tonight, usually when it goes out. Pete's kickers video will drop at some point tomorrow. And we'll just roll with our regular schedule for the rest of the week. Must start videos, sneaky starts and streams, last minute waivers, and a video on Sunday morning. And then we'll run it back for one more week. I'm probably going to do some sort of content in week 18. I might do start sit videos for those of you who play in week 18, although I disagree with playing in week 18, and like 95% of you guys don't play in week 18, but I usually do something for those who do play in week 18. And then there'll probably be like a bit of like a break week or two, but I'm going to jump pretty heavily into Dynasty content this year for you guys who do play in Dynasty, and have some big plans around that. And that might even just start sooner rather than later. I mean, I'm going to take some sort of a break this year because I really need one. But also, I'm going to be pretty aggressively going into Dynasty content and then early content for next year as well, as we always do. So, just so you guys are aware, once the season ends, and we're also going to do stuff around the playoffs and underdog tournaments that happen during the playoffs and leading up to the Super Bowl. So there'll be some sort of content on the channel for you guys for a bit here. But probably like March, I don't know. I'm gonna do a lot of dynasty content, so it's gonna slow down a lot, and we'll probably only do like 2 or 3 videos a week and way less live streams for a while. But just so you guys know, there'll be some sort of content after next week. Start Garando or JT. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I do think JT's going to bounce back this week. It's a good matchup against the Titans. If he had scored the touchdown, it wouldn't have been that bad of a game. Garando, it's not an awful matchup. The Dolphins are 18th against the position. He had 11.5 points this past week. I think I still lean JT, but it's very close. If you like Garando more, I mean, it's really like, it's super close. I don't think it's going to like make or break your week per se. I think I personally lean JT because the last time he played the Titans was his last game before this previous week, right? Yeah, no, he played New England. I'm sorry. So last time he played the Titans, he was inactive. But yeah, if he scored the touchdown this past week, he would have had like another 16, 17 points. And he had 17.3 in week 13. So I think I'm sticking with JT. But it's very close. Very, very close. And of course, this time of year, I always encourage you guys, trust your gut. Appreciate your help. Need 2 flexes out of White, BTJ, Jennings, Thielen, Kamara, Hawk. Should I play Hawkinson instead of Strange? These are good questions. So I think I would personally play BTJ and Kamara if he's healthy. If Kamara is not healthy, I just go Rashad White. But this is a bunch of players right here, man, who can all outscore each other. So, but as I've said all season long, if I own Brian Thomas Jr., I will play him. But yeah, any of these guys can outscore each other. Hawkinson versus Strange. Call me crazy, but I feel slightly better about Strange. Hawkinson's fine, but he still is yet to be on the field for 68% or more than 68% of snaps. Barely hit double digits this week. I mean, he's fine. He's just volatile, and Johnny Munt and Josh Oliver get snaps too. So, it's just how they utilize their tight ends. I mean, I don't know if Strange's going to have 18 points again, but he does have a good matchup, and Mac Jones apparently likes to throw him the football. So, close calls there, Joseph. Wait says, enough said. I'm starting JT. I drafted him. Yep. Trust your studs. But like I said, it is really close between those two. Would you start Smitty over London? I mean, Drake London's been so solid, like, I mean, even when he wasn't scoring touchdowns, like he's giving you double digits every game but 3. He's only scored 2 touchdowns since week 8. He gets the Giants. Like, I think London's still very solid. He's the wide receiver 7 on the season, but you guys know that I love me some Devonta Smith. And obviously he's been great the last 2 weeks, and especially this past week. That's about as close of a call as you can get. I don't know if we have weather reports for the week. Okay, I guess we have some, but yeah, I guess someone was saying Oh, no, it's supposed to be clear. It looks like the only rain game right now, which this can, of course, change because it's Tuesday, is the Vikings at Seahawks. So I guess I'm not worried about that, but um, the game script may be better for Smitty, but I think it's really close. I think both are still very good options. Tough call. What are your options for defenses next week? Haven't looked a ton into it. If Mahomes doesn't play, I like the Steelers on Christmas Day, but I would assume Mahomes will probably play on Christmas Day because it's a Netflix exclusive and they want those rankings. Ravens, Texans, I don't like. Seahawks, Bears, I don't like. Chargers, Patriots, maybe the Chargers, but they've been so risky lately. Broncos, Bengals, I don't like. Cardinals, Rams, don't like. Panthers, Bucks, I don't like. Jets, Bills, maybe the Bills, but the way the Jets are playing right now, I don't think so. Colts, Giants, I'll take the Colts. So we got the Colts. Packers, Vikings, no. Raiders, Saints, I might take either defense in that matchup, but yeah. Titans, Jags, I'll probably take the Jags. Dolphins, Browns, I think I'll take the Dolphins. So far we got the Colts, Raiders, Saints, Jags, Dolphins. It's gross. Cowboys, Eagles, I'd probably start the Eagles, but the Cowboys haven't been that bad, so I'm looking at a floor play. Like, I'd probably still start the Vikings, but you're just looking at a floor like 7, 8 points. Falcons, Commanders, I think that takes the Falcons off the map. Lions, Niners, don't trust that one either. So Eagles for a floor, Vikings or Packers for a floor. Maybe like the Cardinals, Bucks, Chargers, Seahawks, Broncos give you a floor. Steelers, maybe. Bills, maybe, but the upside plays are going to be the Colts, Raiders, Saints, Jags, Dolphins. Next channel idea, power scaling Joe Dirt. Would he beat Goku? He definitely would. He's hurt right now, though. He's on IR, so I don't know. Colts, Titans, Rams, Raiders on my waiver. Who do I pick up for next week? The Colts or the Raiders. I do feel kind of shaky about the Raiders Saints. Like, opportunities there, but I don't really trust either defense. You got JJ at wide receiver 1. It's so close between Smitty and London. I probably just go to matchup. That's what I do this time of year. So Commanders are 19th, and the Giants are 14th. And I do think the Commanders Eagles game will be more competitive. So I guess I go Smitty, but it's very close. Armando, flex who? McMillan, Worthy, or Patrick? I don't know if Pickett's going to start. I really don't know if he's going to start. I'm really worried about Pickens. And it's a short week. They play on Saturday. I just don't know if Pickens going to be ready, man. So I lean on McMillan and Worthy. I think those are your best options. I'll say McMillan over Worthy by a hair. But okay. If Mahomes plays, Worthy. If he doesn't, McMillan. If Pickens is out, then I would still go McMillan and Worthy regardless of Mahomes. I was solid my thinking about BTJ, one of my flexes. Thanks for the confirmation. Do you like White over Jennings? I do. But yeah, I personally would start White, but like, Jennings has been really good. Like, it was bad weather this past week. He had the bad game in the snow. He had the bad game with Brandon Allen. Outside of that, he's been fantastic. So, like, will I be surprised if he pops off? No, but then The Dolphins have also been really good against receivers, so it's very close here. Very close. Um, I personally like Rashad White. I feel like he's a little bit safer, but it's very close. And yeah, you got a lot of options there, man. But I definitely go BTJ, sure. Should I be worried about JJ in the rain? I try not to overthink it now. Watch the news this morning. It showed clouds and rain for this weekend in Seattle. It's pouring down right now. Yeah, that's the only game right now that does come up as a rain game. 86% chance of rain. I try not to overthink it, but the Saints Packers is a 25% chance. Really tough to bench JJ. Already can't wait for next year's Catch Fam leagues. Yeah, and I'm thinking of getting a new dynasty league going as well. Forgot about mentioning McMillan, possibly for one of my flexes. Yeah, I think I still like White over McMillan. I do really like McMillan this week, but I have a tough time like starting him over guys that have been like surefire options all season long. Tommy, you can get in and on as many as you want. I say that right. Goff or Burrow, I'm sticking with Burrow. Until the Bengals lose a game, like I'm sticking with Burrow because the Bengals are going to be an absolute win now every single like they have to win every game to make the playoffs. So I am not benching Joe Burrow unless they lose a game, and even then I'm probably still starting him, but I mean, he's playing the Browns this week at home. I like his chances this week quite a bit. So I'm starting Burrow for sure. I know Goff had the huge game, but I tougher matchup for Goff. I just don't know if he's going to have that same type of output this week. So I'm sticking with Burrow. Easy. All right, guys, we're at the bottom of the chat, so we'll go ahead and start wrapping up here. But great stream tonight. Lots of good questions. This is a tough week, guys. And it's always amplified when playoffs are on the line, right? But just remember, look at matchups, trust your gut, all that stuff. All you can do is set the best possible lineup and cross your fingers. And it's a tough game that we play. It really is. So just do your best and try not to overthink it, guys. And, sometimes it boils down to luck, and that's all it really is, So it's a painful game we play, but just try to have fun and enjoy your guys' fantasy season as it starts to conclude here. Appreciate you, Joseph. Darnold's playing in the rain. I'm starting Goff. That's definitely fair. Appreciate you as well. And I will be back on Saturday, and Pete should be on here Saturday as well with me. So we'll have another live stream this week and plenty of content throughout the week. So if you guys need anything, just let me know in the comments section. I'll get back to you guys throughout the week. And we'll go from there. So Thursday night matchup this week, guys. Broncos Chargers kicking it off, 2 Saturday games, Sunday slate, and a Monday game. So it's going to be a great week. Then we got Christmas week, holidays, all that stuff coming up. So just try and enjoy this next week or so between the fantasy season concluding, the NFL season almost concluding, and then holiday week and the new year and everything. And just appreciate you guys and love this community. Love the Catch Fam. And thank you guys for the fantasy questions tonight and allowing me to help you guys. And that'll do it for tonight. So appreciate all you guys. And that does it. So with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch and